Good morning, Professor K. R. Raita. Can you hear me? Hello? Professor, can you hear me? Whether my voice is audible? Hello? Good morning to all of you, to all the participants who will be listening to the talk on the topic significance of fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution. At the very outset, I welcome Professor K. R. Raita, who was the Dean of Karnataka University, Dean of Law of Karnataka University, and he was also the in-charge registrar and in-charge vice chancellor of Karnataka University. He has been put up more than 40 years in the field of teaching and has held various positions in the university. Professor Raita is an expert, the subject jurisprudence, and also he is very good at the constitutional law and administrative law. Professor Raita is a very good researcher and he has written a number of articles. And every article of Professor Raita is unique and highly appreciated. He is closely associated with Vivekananda Law College and he is also there on the expert committee of Vivekananda Law College. I, on behalf of the management and the students, I welcome Professor K. R. Raita for this online talk. Welcome, Professor K. R. Raita. I welcome all the participants and the students of law who are eager to listen to the talk of Professor K. R. Raita. Professor K. R. Raita is a soft-hearted person, speaks very slowly, and using a lot amount of information within a time of 40 minutes. Therefore, I request all the students and the participants to listen to him carefully. And if you have any questions at the end, you can ask or you can post your questions to the chat box, which will be answered by today's resource person, Professor K. R. Raita. Now, he will be talking to you today on significance of fundamental rights. Then on 17th, he will be talking to you on a topic, judicial review of administrative actions. Both are very important. Remember, my friends, these two areas are important not only from the point of view of Karnataka State Law University examinations, but also very useful and essential for the students who wish to appear for competitive examinations. Students of Vivekananda Law College and Nyayadhara students should listen to it carefully. Don't leave in the middle because your attendance is being marked here. We are getting the names of the persons who have already joined. There are 62 participants now. Therefore, when he goes on talking, listen to him carefully, jot down the points. Keep a letter pad or a white sheet of paper and jot down the points. And then prepare an essay and send it to me so that I can correct it and give it back to you. Therefore, with this introduction, I request Professor Aithad to speak on the topic significance of fundamental rights. Hope you will all enjoy this 40 minutes and listen to his expressions very carefully. And if you may get doubts here and there, I know fully well, but jot down the doubts and post it so that we can give you the answers quickly, immediately. Therefore, once again, on behalf of the management and the students, well, I welcome and hand over this online class to Professor K.R. Aithad, who will be speaking on the topic significance of fundamental rights. Over to Professor Aithad. Can you hear? Can you hear my voice? Yes, Professor Aithad, you can start. Hello? Yes.
Good morning. So now let me start. So you note down the following historical facts. So an ancient Greek ruler by name Herod ordered the killing of babies born on a particular day in every year. Secondly, the Prophet Muhammad ordered for killing of Jews in Medina to march towards Makkah. Third one, Alauddin Khilji and some other Muslim invaders of India have ordered for the killing of Hindus who refused to convert and ordered for destruction of Hindu temples and set fire to Nalanda University. Fourth, Aurangzeb imposed a tax called jizya only on Hindus for the purpose of giving it to Iran for a particular war. So then, fifth, British rulers ordered for the killing of peaceful protesters in Jallianwala Bagh. So the sixth, British rulers taxed salt, in the history, the salt agitation. And then, so even now also, so several government hospitals have refused to accept COVID patients. So why all these things happen? And then how to prevent these things? So this is one of the perennial problem of mankind. So for the purpose of peaceful coexistence, mankind has accepted the power of a ruler. And in the history, there were two types of rulers. So in Kannada, Praja Rakshaka Mattu Praja Pidaka. Those who ensure welfare of the people and those who persecute people. So there is always conflict between these two classes of rulers. So the perennial problem, therefore, is how to prevent the rulers from persecuting the people. And it is a universally accepted phenomena that in every society, so the rich and resourceful always exploited the weak and vulnerable. So in human society, we have to protect the weak and control the strong. So that is why, there are two types of rulers I had told you. So the Praja Pidaka Mattu Praja Rakshaka. How many in history in high school you must have read? We have more the history of the bad rulers than the good ones. So we will find only a handful of good rulers. So why these rulers have become bad, I had told you, for the purpose of, in fact, deriving sadistic pleasure, expansion of, that empire, and they always persecuted the subjects, and even today it is there. We cannot prevent it. So then, but we must fight. We must have to find solution to this unique and never-ending problem of persecution of weak and the vulnerable. So for this reason, in fact, in ancient Greek philosopher Plato, he introduced an idea that if the rulers are good, the people will be protected. So that is why he introduced the concept of philosopher kings. All kings must be trained to do good and to avoid bad. That is why the education, even in Indian history, in fact, you will find in Mahabharata, Ramayana, even in Western society, Plato So the introduced the idea of educating the kings, the rulers, why they should be educated in gurukulas or in any way, manner. They should be educated in doing good and avoiding evil. But once a king acquires power, or even so that they forget about the good of the society. So they want to lead a very lavish life. So that they formed a coterie, and the people in general have to fight against this coterie. So they try to persecute by imposing. In fact, in the earlier examples, I had told you how the rulers or kings persecute the subjects or their own people. So that is why, so the people often rebelled against the king. So there are so many revolutions you must have studied in the history. So then, in fact, that Plato's idea of good. So in fact, that so the good rulers, the Aristotle, in fact, could not agree, because while coming to power, for example, that whether it is Indira Gandhi or Hitler or so many others in modern, so they promise heaven at the time of elections. After coming to power, they, in fact, that they push the people to hell. So Garibi Hatava, even today, in fact, that more than 27% of the people living below the poverty line in India. Or during Holocaust in Germany, so more than 3 million Jews were killed. So that is why, in fact, that at the end of Second World War, the German people, in fact, that welcomed the Allied forces. So that is why, so the one perennial problem is how to prevent the rulers from persecuting or exploiting their own subjects. It is in fact possible even now. In fact, you have so many policies. For example, that so that I was professor in Karnataka University and in charge of registrar. So where in fact, that so that in somewhere in 2005, so there was a recruitment wherein in fact, that so that 19 professor posts were reserved in favor of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And there are already 10 belonging to this category working in the university. So there are only 50 professors posts. And according to the policy of Karnataka, SC/ST reservation is 18%. So how much there was an advertisement, 19 professor posts were advertised, including only one professor post in the law department. So then in fact these general category people agitated, and then that we petitioned. Then governor of course agreed, but the High Court could not decide. So that is why even today that case is in my name only, is pending. I am retired long back, 4 years back. So for the purpose of what? So in fact Siddaramaiah once introduced a policy that Shadi Bhagya only for Muslims. And then this Yediyurappa agitated. Then it was extended to all. So that is why, in fact, that so the persecution has taken different forms and different shapes at different points of history. So in all these cases, in fact, that so the people have to escape from the persecution of the rulers. How can escape? So that is why, in fact, revolution. When the king becomes cruel, so the people used to overthrow him through revolutions. But revolutions are costly, and therefore, so we have to devise a method by which the kings or rulers, whether it is modern day representatives of the people or the ancient rulers and their court. So for this reason, so that some method by virtue of which the ruler's actions have to be regulated, and this concept is called constitutionalism. So whereby, so the initially, in fact, people thought that by some means, whether by means of the doctrine of separation of powers, based on the principle that power should be controlled by another power. That is how we devised three organs of the government: the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. If all the powers are concentrated in the hands of a single individual, the power becomes uncontrolled and tyrannous. So the best example of this, 1937, there was a purge in Nazi political party. And in the very meeting itself, so the Hitler ordered the killing of 67 members of the party who opposed his war propaganda. These 67 members were not ready for the war, Second World War, so they wanted the Hitlers to restrain himself. So immediately, during the meeting itself, Hitler calls his henchmen and orders their killing. And the next day, Hitler declares that they were not killings, they were judicial executions, and at that particular point of time, he was acting as the Chief Justice of German people. It is just like awarding death sentence to a condemned criminal. So that is how, in fact, that so the even your separation of powers cannot protect individuals. So today we say that the Hitler's killing violated the right to life of all these 67. Is it not? That is why, so the after the glorious revolution in England, so the constitutional mechanisms only built on separation of powers cannot protect the interests of the subjects. It cannot prevent the governments from becoming tyrants. So then how we can prevent it? So that is by conferring certain rights. Now we call them fundamental rights on the subject, and if any action of the government violates or infringes or abridges these rights, shall be declared as invalid, and appropriate remedies shall be provided to the subjects. So this was, in fact, that happened since the time of what is Magna Carta of 13th century. In fact, on June 15th of 12,050, the King John of England was compelled to sign a document called Magna Carta, whereby the people compelled him to sign this and asked him to be abide by this. So the first right conferred upon individuals by the king was that no person shall be incarcerated in jail or condemned or his property be expropriated without the judgment of his peers. So to that extent, then the issue will be, suppose, of course, now the king has signed and accepted that these rights of the people not to be incarcerated in prison without the judgment of a peer judge. That is why, so that only under three circumstances today a person can be incarcerated in jail or in prison. So what are these three? In fact, every criminal lawyer must know this. Then only he can. Of course, the details vary. So that every person can be put behind the bars only on conviction by a court of law. So then how he should be convicted? So there are so many provisions in the Constitution, fundamental rights it requires. So thereby, in fact, that to ensure that the individuals are properly convicted for an offense. So that is how, in fact, that. So the individual rights emerged and they transformed into fundamental rights. So when it comes to, in fact, the right, no person shall be incarcerated in jail without the judgments of the court of law. So then, in fact, that who should say that a particular detention or incarceration is contrary to the rule of law? In fact, the very Magna Carta provides that the king will maintain the rule of law. And these rules are conditioned by these principles. So that is how, in fact, that fundamental rights of individuals emerged in the history of human civilization in the form of Magna Carta. So then, in fact, the successor king said, I have not signed this Magna Carta and therefore these principles are not applicable to me. So this Magna Carta was thrown in the nearest window. And again, persecution of subjects started. So then, in fact, that how to prevent. That is why, in fact, that democratic revolutions, unless the kings are thrown out and powers are vested with the representatives of the people, so the interests of individuals against overwhelming government cannot be protected. So this idea became the basis of glorious revolution in England in 1689. In fact, intellectual leader of this revolution was John Locke. You must have heard of it. So he said, so no government can violate these three basic rights of the people. What are those three? So the right, liberty, and life, liberty, and estate. So then, in fact, that. So if a government, if a ruler infringes these three basic rights, then the people can rebel against the king. So thereby, the individual rights, these fundamental rights became the basis for revolution. So thereafter, in fact, that in England, House of Commons became the more powerful, and in fact the king was overthrown during Charles I, during the Glorious Revolution, and a written constitution incorporating the rights contained in Magna Carta was introduced by, in fact, Cromwell's. But so these British people have a sort of reverence towards the rule, this crown or king. That is why, in fact, that so that the monarchy was restored after 6 years, and powers of the king was curtailed, whereby, in fact, powers were transferred to the commons and the cabinet. So king became the nominal head. And similarly in India, so that we don't have kings because we have several kings at the time of Indian independence. So that is why, that so that we introduced the presidency in the constitution, having nominal constitutional powers. But the real political powers, governmental powers, are exercised by the Prime Minister through a doctrine called aid and advice. So that is how, in fact, that so that we try to control the actions of the government. But this method of controlling the government was not acceptable to the Americans. In fact, the American Revolution and introduced, in fact, the idea of fundamental rights in a written constitution. It was one Virginia Constitution of 1773, where fundamental rights were incorporated into the constitution. But in fact, in the first American Constitution, so there was opposition to introduce fundamental rights because of the influence of democracy. So the democracy is based on an assumption that if the representatives of the people rule, then they will protect the interests of the subjects. Even today, this is the fundamental principle of English constitutional law and also several constitutions in the world. So then, but the Americans, they don't want, because that unless fundamental rights are incorporated into the written constitution, we don't have a guarantee that the elected representatives will always protect our interests. For example, that in India, so that, in fact, that it was asserted that in third world countries, Gunnar Myrdal, in his Asian drama, said that in third world countries, people are not electing their representatives, only some. Like so many MPs in India, get themselves elected. How they get themselves elected? By bribing the voters, by appealing on religious, caste, all these considerations. And once the election is over, so they start protecting the interests of those who have given bribes. That is why, Congress charges Modi government that they serve the interest of Adanis and Ambanis. So that is why, that the Americans, they thought that these fundamental rights have to be incorporated in a written constitution. So initially, American Constitution did not contain provisions for fundamental rights, but in 1791 by way of first 10 amendments to the Constitution. So the fundamental rights were important. So then, in fact, at that particular point of time, there was a controversy. So of course, government has to respect these rights. But in case, if a particular government fails to respect, who should have the power to say that this particular action of the government, law of the government, or order of the government violated the rights of X, Y, Z? Of course, they said it is a conflict between an individual and the government. The court should say that there is violation of fundamental rights. That is how the courts have become more powerful. Initially, court roles were confined only to resolve private dispute between private parties. That's all. But now, after the advent of fundamental rights, so the courts acquired a power to resolve dispute between individual and the government arising out of infringement of fundamental rights. That is why Article 13, 2 of the Constitution, 1 and 2 of the Indian Constitution provides that a law inconsistent with Part 3 means fundamental rights shall be void or invalid to the extent of such inconsistency. So that is why, in fact, now, if the government try to persecute, harass people, so the people can approach the court. So then how they can approach? So through various writs, that is why you know that we have no lawyers. So this Keshavanand Bharati has to go to Supreme Court and the land war decision came. So then in England, this, in fact, in America, so again one problem has come up because you know that there was no, who should say that a particular law violated fundamental rights. It was in one case, that is Marbury versus Madison. Then Chief Justice of America, Chief Justice Marshall, said that it is the court that can declare a law made by the parliament. So three organs. So the highly powerful among the three should be the legislature. And all these three now have to function in accordance with the constitutional prescriptions. So that is how, in fact, you know that the significance of fundamental rights in India lies in Article 13, Clause 1 and 13, Clause 2. So then, in fact, you know, that's in America, of course, you know, these fundamental rights were incorporated into the Indian Constitution. But it has not been incorporated even today in many European and including English England, on the ground that the best way to regulate the governmental powers and protect the interests of the subject is through democracy. So the Americans, in fact, you know, that they were not ready to accept. For example, you know, that's Jefferson, one of the founders of the American Constitution, said that we must require the protection even against the legislature, that is Congress in America, or the parliament. Because if the parliament is given full powers to change the constitution or otherwise, there is possibility that the majority in the legislature may make a law affecting the legitimate interests of the minority, not in the minority in the Indian sense of the term. So there is a possibility, for example, that so that a government may come and make a law whereby so that Cheddis have 2 votes. Who is Cheddis, Can they pass such a law? So then or for example, I had given you the example of this reservations. So tomorrow if the parliament passes a law whereby in another 10 years, other than Muslims shall be recruited in the government services because their representation is very less. Until their representation reaches 18%, no person other than Muslims shall be recruited. There is no much difference between this law and Siddaramaya's Shadi Bhagya original. Is it not? So then how can we prevent it? How can we prevent? If such a law is passed, that so that how many writs are going to be filed before the court? On the ground that our right to equality under Article 16, there shall be equality of opportunity in public employment. Of course, how far it is equal, we don't know. So the details, of course, it is beyond this particular class. So in fact, so this fundamental rights, significance of fundamental rights lies in 2 important aspects. One is fundamental rights are recognized for the purpose of protecting legitimate interests of individuals against overwhelming government. So, in fact, that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. See, whether it is the traditional power of the rulers, or whether it is the power of the modern day parliament or the bureaucrats, all are liable to be abused or misused, whereby some individuals' interests are going to be adversely affected. So then the purpose of fundamental rights is to protect the legitimate interests of individuals. So the individual's interest lies in protecting their liberty or freedom. So then, in fact, that is one function of fundamental rights. The second function is to limit the governmental action. So, of course, it is related to first. So, for example, that if the government, as I had given you the example, that there shall not be any recruitment of others other than minorities within for another 10 years. So, you will go to court and get the law. Of course, we try to do it circumferentially because so the even fundamental rights cannot always protect your interests. I will come to it later on. Anyhow, the second function is that it limits the authority of the public officials or rulers. So in fact, that this aspect I will discuss in the next lecture, judicial review of administrative actions. So anyhow, in fact, that so the role of fundamental rights particularly lies in fact, protecting legitimate interests of individuals against the government. See, the government, in spite of fundamental rights, there is possibility of government disintegrating into tyranny. In fact, you must have heard. So that during 1975-77 emergency, so more than 2,000 political leaders, of course, were, including Morarji Desai, Jayaprakash Narayan, and company, all were incarcerated in jail. And then, in fact, that so that many, of course, custodial deaths and other things were rampant. Of course, that persecution was relatively less in South India, anyhow. So then, in fact, that so the people, through a law, Section 3 of Maintenance of Internal Security Act, whereby so the persons can be put behind the bars without constitutional protections, legal protections during emergency. In fact, that Article 250, 358, 356 empowers the government, president, to impose emergency on 3 grounds. And Article 358 provides that during emergency, fundamental rights can be suspended. So the Article 359, in fact, Article 350, automatic suspension of Article 19 and other articles can be suspended by a presidential order. So the presidential order declaring internal emergency on June 25th, 1975. So the Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. So on the basis of a principle laid down by who is that? Devkant Barua, then president of Congress. India is Indira. Indira is India. India is Indira. Indira is Indira. So to protection of Indian interest means protecting Indira's interest. And therefore, to protect the interest of Indira, so the fundamental rights shall be suspended. Article 21 provides that no person shall be deprived of his right, life or liberty except according to procedure established by law. So accordingly, in fact, this Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, it was claimed while coming out of bathroom, Sanjay Gandhi took this file and he got it signed. So all fundamental rights were suspended and therefore all have been sent to jail. Then where is your fundamental rights? So then, of course, people went to court. In one case, ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla. 8 out of 9 high courts said, even during emergency, see, people have the right to go to court and question their detention under 496 of CRPC. But the Supreme Court judges, so in ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla said, during emergency, no life. Then, in fact, that only one dissenting judge, Justice Khanna, asked then Attorney General of India, Niren Dey, suppose if I am coming from my quarters to Supreme Court, if the police detains me on the ground that so that my actions are affecting the interest of Indira, not India, I don't have remedy. Then the Niren Dey has said no remedy. So long as emergency is there, anybody can be killed by anybody. Can you accept this? So why this happened in India? So it is because we have a system of government wherein there is possibility of powers, just like Hitler's example I had. The powers can be concentrated in the hands of single individual or a group of individuals. So the Indian Constitution during emergency failed to prevent the concentration of power in the hands of single individual. How it happened? It is because we have a parliamentary system of government. And if a single individual can control the parliament, how the members are controlled? So because in fact, that it is possible through the party. That is why, in fact, these opposition people used to say that one man, one post. So Indira Gandhi was the president of the Congress party as well as head of the government. So then, in fact, that he ordered. Of course, that we have a system of voting. So all these members have become actually redundant. Even today, Indian Parliament is not at all effective. So the majority, it is because of the provision in the Constitution whereby certain provisions of the Constitution can be amended by the Parliament itself by 2/3 majority. And this Indira Gandhi has 2/3 majority. And in fact, by way of 42nd Amendment, so the majority of the fundamental rights have been neutralized. Of course, Nehru himself has, while introducing First Amendment in 1951 itself, once said that the magnificent edifice of this Indian Constitution is being purloined by the judges and the lawyers. Therefore, they introduced the First Amendment. Of course, there is no time to discuss those things in detail. Anyhow, so this led to the conflict between the Parliament and the judiciary. So if the Parliament can be controlled by single individual, so your constitution can be thrown out. It has no significance. That is why one Professor Rajiv Dhawan, of course, he is still an advocate in Supreme Court, once said that there is no constitution in India. It is only just like, in fact, a newspaper, where you won't find, that what is written in today's and the next day. So many amendments were introduced, and the Constitution has lost much of its significance. Anyhow, so the limits, so the fundamental rights, in fact, that incorporated into the Constitution depends upon, firstly, other provisions of the Constitution, and secondly, in fact, how the political process operates in a society. That is why, so if the people are highly vigilant, then of course that it is possible to prevent issues of authority. That is why, in fact, that the periodic elections. So there are two methods by virtue of which the governmental actions can be regulated. One through democratic process, the debates, etc. in the Parliament. The second through challenging governmental actions on the basis that they violated fundamental rights. So the judicial remedies. So when, in fact, these two remedies effectively operate, it is possible to protect the legitimate interests of individuals, and the fundamental rights have a prominent role in protecting individuals against tyrannical government. I think with this, I would like to conclude, and if you have any questions, so your moderator can ask, and I will try to answer. Any questions? Okay.
If there is any questions, you can just put it forward.
Huh? ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಹ.
If there are any questions, you can put it forward. Sir will be answering it.
ಛೆ, sound. ನೀನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
So the question has been posted here by Shushrit, the student of our college. How
Yeah.
can fundamental rights be sustained in time of war?
No, fundamental rights are applicable even during war. See, war is between two particular political entities. In fact, there are so many laws of war, whereby, in fact, there are so many rules. So, if a particular individual's conduct is prejudicial to the maintenance of war, we can make a special law. For example, you know that during emergency, Article 19 is suspended. So then, in fact, you know that
Thank you, sir.
huh? Tell me.
No,
Any
sir.
other-
Thank you, sir.
So any other questions?
See, now,
What is the motive behind removing the rights to property from part of Constitution?
right? Not audible.
What is the motive behind removing the right to property
Right to
from the part one of Constitution?
passport. Of course, you know that there is a freedom of movement. So,
So the question is, what is the motive behind removing the right to property from Part 3 of the Indian Constitution?
in fact, you know that's the one reason why that is the conflict between the judiciary and the government, or it is an ideological conflict between welfare and the property ownership. In fact, you know that why many laws regulating right to property has been the basis for several constitutional amendments, and therefore you know that after Janata government came to power, to enable the government to regulate effectively the property rights, they removed it from fundamental rights and made it a constitutional rights. Thereby, in fact, you know that this now the right to property is neither a fundamental right, but nor a political right. In fact, it is in between. It is constitutional right, not a legal right, not a fundamental right. So it is in between ordinary legal rights and fundamental rights. So there is a distinction. The fundamental rights, constitutional rights, legal rights, they have different significance. So the fundamental rights, they protect individual against the government. In fact, fundamental rights are effectively protected through constitutional remedies. So they have different procedures. But when it becomes a legal right or a constitutional right, so in case violation of fundamental rights, a person can directly go to Supreme Court. Whereas in case of constitutional right or other legal rights, he has to go to first High Court and then go to Supreme Court. Article 226, Article 32 is not applicable. In fact, it is because, in fact, the several, of course, progressive, so-called progressive legislation, particularly those concerned with the land reforms, court issuing stay order against those laws. So the first case was concerning Kameshwar Singh versus State of Bihar. So where in fact because of the court stay order, the land reform could not be implemented and all the landowners, even it has happened everywhere. So our Karnataka land reforms also. So the people, the big landlords, in fact, that so that they got their land divided. In fact, under Karnataka Land Reforms Act, so that a person can own 25 standard acres of land. So a person owning, in fact, like who is that? E.K. Bhupanar, Tamil Nadu. He has in possession 2,000 acres. In spite of land reforms restricting land holding. Of course, it is even those restrictions were now considered bad. That is why the reforms, recent legislations. So, for the purpose of protecting rights interests, in fact, even this new amendment also will not work. Because unless we enforce minimum wages law, and if the farmers are paid the MSP, minimum support price. In fact, Chidambaram himself said that how can the government enforce? Then why we should elect them? So the very politicians owning this agricultural land, they are not giving minimum wages. They are not, in fact, enforcing labor laws. How many teachers in private colleges, private institutions, universities are paid? That they have given an understanding to the effect that they are going to pay this much of salary as per government rules. Who should enforce these rules? So that, in fact, in a democracy, citizens also must be active. Anyhow, so even if it is not a fundamental right, so the property can be protected. See, there are legal, it is now a constitutional right. So property cannot be taken away without due process of law. So no person shall be deprived of property without the authority of law. Article 308. So because it is removed from fundamental rights, now it became a constitutional right. So there are, of course, arguments both for and against this. Anyhow, so as far as property right, it is not a fundamental right, but now it is a legal right. Legal right can be enforced by Article 226. So next question. I think, in fact,
Is there any questions?
Sir, Ishrat here.
Tell me.
Sir, fundamental rights is very important. We have court mechanism and all, right, sir? So the thing is, India has a vibrant democracy with people with various values and all. So for someone to enforce his fundamental rights, it is possible that somebody else's fundamental rights may be curtailed. So how do we strike a balance between the two?
Correct. In fact, for now, after the emergence of public interest litigations, I had told you second purpose of fundamental rights is to limit the governmental actions. So if the certain actions of the government of public interest litigation, so another person cannot enforce his rights. That is how, in fact, after emergency, so the public interest litigations have become very popular, and it is one of the peculiar of Indian constitutional jurisprudence. So others' fundamental rights can also be enforced through. That is how, in fact, that Bhagarpur blinding cases. So in fact, Hussain-Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar. So the under trial prisoners cases, and then in fact that we have several other, even the democratic institutions at the end of emergency have become totally inefficient, serving only the interests of certain sections of the society, certain classes of voters that are required for the purpose of them keeping in power. In fact, that in India, so the political power is acquired not by legitimate means. The elections are highly fraudulent. Law enforcement is also highly contrary to democratic principle. In fact, democracy, political supervision over the administration has become very ineffective because of politicians. Political perversions that affects the interests of the subjects. Of course, some people will be benefited. In fact, that too sometimes it is unjust benefits. In fact, that's in India we have developed a situation wherein so the arbitrary conferment of privileges is not at all considered as unjust. Arbitrary means discriminatory. So the benefits. But if in fact that this discriminatory arm, the people try to rebel sometimes. So conferring privileges, in fact, the entire political process is perverted to a great extent because of this, namely that the power holder can always escape from the law. That is the problem. So in fact, Magna Carta starts with the assertion that king will rule according to rule of law, not according to his will. And he will exercise his will subject to these fundamental rights enumerated in the Magna Carta. And that has become, of course, developed into modern constitutional law, even in India, in fact. So the rule must be in accordance with dharma. And dharma does not mean, in fact, religion. In fact, the Britishers, the Western historians, Persian historians, so they call this moral ethical principles governing administration as religion, but strictly the dharma consists of a code of conduct to ensure good over evil. it is not a particular religious doctrine. Of course, in Western Christian society, the moral principles are drawn from 10 commandments. So they always say that all moral standards are religious. But it is not so in respect of Hindu dharma. So dharma means eternal law. It is a higher law standard which try to regulate human conduct. Then, any other question?
Sir,
Tell me.
this is Prachi from STM Law College. Yeah, so there is this question in my mind. Sir, during emergency, I know that emergency, the government takes all the decisions or decisions which it otherwise is not allowed to take for the safety and protection of people.
Yes.
But is depriving people of their fundamental rights a right thing to do? Just because, I mean, I know that in country might be in a certain situation where the
I will tell you.
the emergency.
I understood the question. So in fact, just like government abuses or misuses its authority, people also misuse their liberty or freedom or rights. See, nobody can claim a right to rob another. So excessive liberty, if you give to the people, the society becomes chaotic. That is why it is ordered liberty. Liberty should be exercised in accordance with law. So when we say that you have freedom of speech and expression, you are not supposed to spread false news, fake news. You cannot incite people. So that is why, in fact, that all conflicts in society arises on account of abuse of freedom. People are also nasty. That is why Hobbes said. So that is why in certain circumstances to establish order, so the greater powers the government requires and severe restrictions on human freedom, citizens' freedom is also required. That is why 144. See, in fact, that you have a freedom of speech and expression and assembly. You cannot go and sit in 24 hours dharan and then destroy public and private property. So that is why. So the emergency is required during war because that some sections of the society may not like war. Sex versus United States. So during First World War. So America, there are certain associations, they were against First World War, and then they started, in fact, sending all sorts of false news. Even in India, in fact, that is why the previous Supreme Court, recently, before yesterday, said that the freedom of speech and expression is the most abused right by the individuals, particularly in social media. Fake news are rampant, thereby, that they incite people, encourage violence. So then the order cannot be maintained. That is why, that emergency powers are required. But if there is no emergency, or if everything can be done through emergency, then it becomes meaningless. That is why, that in spite of this pandemic, if Indira Gandhi were to be there, emergency would have declared. But after this, that emergency. So emergency gives more powers to the government. Once government powers increases, misuse proportionately increase. Once government's abuses of power increases, interests of the subjects affects. That is why temporarily, of course, for the purpose of bringing situation into normalcy, so we require certain stringent action has to be taken. So the emergency powers. Then,
Sir, one basic question.
huh?
What if there arises a clash between two fundamental rights? For example, if there is a clash between Article 14 and 25, what is the priority?
Clash between.
Two fundamental rights in a particular case.
So no, the fundamental rights, in fact, the individual assertion. Rights by rights individual assert, but they should not affect public order. In fact, the government exists to balance the interests of the individual and interests of the society. So that is why that we cannot allow the people to acquire more and more wealth. But now the people criticize the government liberal policy because under this liberalization, globalization, wealth of few individuals increases while others are deprived of minimum. That is why that so the conflict between capitalist liberal policies and the communists illiberal to the community interest based policies. So of course there is this conflict will be there. So the conflict between individual interest and societal interest. In fact, most crimes are committed because of this conflict of interest. Society wants individual to earn money by lawful means, whereas individuals want to become rich overnight. That is why they try to rob. They want to be corrupt. Is it not? So that is why that lawbreakers are always at an advantageous position. They make more money. They can make, and that is how in fact, the political power under certain circumstances, in fact, that legitimizes illegal acts. That is what, in fact, sometimes it is required. That political realism, Machiavelli argues that so the deed may be bad, but the result. So the deed accuses, result excuses. These politicians try to argue on these lines, anyhow. But the individuals, so that they are victim of abuse of power. They always invoke fundamental rights to protect their interests. Next.
Any further questions?
Huh. Okay, and if it is. Okay.
So there is
Anyway.
no further questions. Vote of hands.
Tell me.
Any questions?
Okay. Let me wind up or conclude.
Yeah, we'll start with vote of thanks. Good morning to all. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on behalf of this esteemed institution. It is my great privilege to thank Professor K.R. Aithal for enlightening the students by your esteemed knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
It is my immense pleasure to...
Continue.
Yes, sir, continue.
Huh?
It is my immense pleasure... pleasure to thank Dr. B.K. Ravindra, Director of Legal Studies, Vivekananda Law College, Puttur, for being our backbone in all endeavors and constantly motivating and inspiring us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Sri Vishweshwara Bhatt and Bangaraka President and Sri Vijay Narayan KM Correspondent and all members of Governing Council for this program. I also thank our Principal Srimati Akshata AP for being with us. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank all the staff members and all the students.